You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
All right, here we go. This is from Tom. Says life advice for a comparative monster, and then he said he did that just to get noticed. Well, congrats, Tom. That worked. Hey, I'm a normal guy. I'm 22. Just graduated with a finance degree from a great university. Just got a full-time job in Austin, Texas, doing consulting work for a smaller accounting firm. My question is about comparing myself to my friends. I have a friend who's a full-time job at a big bank in investment banking. He also has an acceptance letter for an MBA program at, well, I guess he's saying it's either an Ivy or Stanford, or maybe he has, I don't think it's both, but he's all right. So this guy is going to get into a big time MBA program. It's always tough for me to look at him and just imagine if I worked harder, I could be there. How do you deal with looking around at your friends and peers, seeing where they are versus where you are versus where you could have been? This is actually a pretty good question because, you can waste a lot of time worrying about other people. And I know I've had my moments, especially in this business, where I'm like, well, how come this guy's got a show? Or, what's going on here? It generally is a waste of time. It just is. Because the other thing too, there's so many times, especially when you're younger, there's going to be so much of your time when you're younger. And we've touched on this before, where you think you're so far behind all these other guys. And you know what? A move, a change of career, next thing you know, it doesn't feel like this guy's crushing it anymore. And, that part kind of sucks though, too, because you don't want to be a guy who is rooting against your own friends. Okay. And, if you're sitting here at 22, 23 saying, oh, if I could have worked harder, I could have, well, you didn't. He did. And, maybe you're still really, really young. So it's not like you're on these different paths where your lives are going to be completely different. But there's something to be said about being competitive. And yes, I would like to be doing better than everybody, I guess is the way you look at it. But I don't wake up going, I've got to crush everyone. I have to be better than everybody. Oh, I can't believe so-and-so made all this money and I didn't. I've done that in the past, and it's just a total fucking waste of time. And honestly, people kind of get turned off by you saying it. Because I've brought it up a couple times with different work stuff, and it's not too hard to figure out at ESPN. Because a lot of us on air would be very competitive and looking around at other people. We'd hear rumors about somebody else's deal, and it's one thing to think it, but then it's another to say it. Where I'm like, hey, actually, that guy sucks, and yeah, I should be making more money than him. I mean, you may think that on the ride home, but yeah, if you start saying that stuff out loud, your friends might get down on you. I remember we had a friend in college who ended up not getting his degree, and he's a great guy, great friend. But he had said something one time and it was a really good point, but it just sounded bad. Where I was behind, I ended up getting my degree a little bit later on, but I was going to get it, and we were watching all of our friends who we just assumed were just as dumb as us. They got through it. They showed up 4 years prior, 8 semesters, and they got their college degree. And for some of them, you're like, I can't believe this guy ever graduated. And you just, one of my friends, this kid was like, I almost think less of it watching this happen. And I went, wow. I go, so you're not getting a degree and these guys are, but you're kind of dumping on them for getting it. And I totally got his point. His point was a really good one, but I'll never forget it because he said it. He said it out loud. And you're thinking, how could you say that when you didn't do it? And that's something you always have to be careful of. We're all keeping track and that kind of stuff. But, to be somebody who is always going to be keeping track of it, you're going to want to grow out of that at some point. I mean, unless you just are totally driven. Are you only driven by your friend's success? So if one of your friends starts doing better, does it mean you're going to start doing better? That shouldn't be the stuff that motivates you. You should be motivated on your own. So there you go. Okay. This is a good one. It's a neighbor deal. All right. Life advice about a neighbor. I live in a suburb of Chicago in a complex of 20 townhouses with a central courtyard. My wife and I are in our mid-30s. Most of our families are in the complex in the 30s to 40s range. We don't have kids, but many of the families have smaller children. Everybody in the complex is, for the most part, friendly and cordial. I'm social with the other guys, but wouldn't normally hang out with the majority of them if they weren't neighbors. A couple of months ago, we started a boys' whiskey night where the guys would all congregate with lawn chairs in the courtyard to hang out away from the kids and family. We do it on a weekend night once every few weeks. It's a great time to shoot the shit with the other guys in the complex. We have a text thread to coordinate it. And every guy is included. This past week, we started pitching the idea of another boys' night on Friday night. Everybody's confirming this date works well, and nobody is objecting. Friday comes along, and we start texting confirmation that we will meet around 8:30. Everybody gives the thumbs up, but our one neighbor, AP, chimes in. Quick backstory on AP. He's late 30s guy with a 5-year-old son, 2-year-old daughter. He's quite a bit socially awkward and definitely revolves his life around his kids. At the last whiskey night, he came 30 minutes late and immediately told everyone to move 20 feet over because the grass was still damp from his impromptu pool party earlier in the day. He's a good guy, means no harm, but he has zero social awareness. Anyway, all the guys confirm that 8:30 works well for whiskey night. AP then texts me that he's going to a kids movie. He's going to do a kids movie night in the courtyard, which will push back whiskey night at least an hour. Shortly after this text, he sends an email to the entire complex inviting all the kids and family to the courtyard for a movie night. This doesn't sit well with me. I am an orthopedic surgeon on call Saturday and Sunday. I wasn't going to be able to stay out late to begin with, and now we won't be able to participate at all. My issue is that AP knew from the previous text throughout the week about whiskey night, yet still organizes an impromptu movie night that directly interferes. Do we need to be confrontational with this guy or just talk it up to a lack of social awareness? My big fear is that this will continue to happen if we don't speak up, and I don't want to be the childless asshole complaining about kid stuff. That's a very good final sentence there. I would let him get this one, and then if it happens again, then you got to say something. Because he's either sabotaging the thing that the majority wants, which isn't going to work, or he doesn't really get it. And you've tipped us off to a couple of these social deals. I had a place very much like this when I lived in Connecticut. There's a central courtyard of the whole thing. And when I had the Kentucky Derby party, that was basically, mostly work people and everybody I'd known in Connecticut. And it's probably the only party. It was good. I actually put some effort into it. Bartender, cordials, many mixed drinks, all sorts of options. And it was catered affair. And then we had that step and repeat. I didn't even know what the hell that was called until one of the women were like, yeah, no, we need a step and repeat. So I was like, for what? They're like, something to take pictures in front of. I was like, well, can't we just take a picture in front of stuff? They're like, no. Red carpet, whole deal. It was really good. It worked out great. It was a good party. And we rented a pony. So Sarah Walsh wanted a pony at the Kentucky Derby party. And when the pony showed up with the pony handlers, and just so you could have your picture taken with the pony, nobody was riding the thing. It was just in the backyard of my house in this courtyard. All of these people started coming out and looking at the pony. And there was one guy that was mad that I didn't get permission from I don't know who the hell I was supposed to ask for permission for the pony. I don't know what the paperwork is on that kind of thing. And what it really was is that it was a bunch of adults having a party with a pony, and I wasn't going to just start letting every kid come over to play with the pony because then I knew it was going to turn into a thing. And so we were like, look, whoever's in the party can get their picture taken with the pony, but you can't. So then kids were on like back decks of other units, like looking at the pony. And so basically that was screwing up their deal because the kids probably wanted to come over and look at the pony. No one ever asked me. Nobody ever said, hey, can I bring my kid over? I didn't have to have that conversation. But what happened is that one of the parents later on decided to try to go and complain about me to everybody in the complex to be like, can you believe that guy brought a pony? It was the middle of the day, by the way, and the party was over early. And people were like, no, he's awesome. Like, he's great. And he never has people over ever. And good for him. Like, they all got dressed up. It looks like he did a great job at the party. And like, who cares? The pony was there for an hour just walking in circles, getting pictures taken. And it was just so funny to see all of this backfiring on him because all of the neighbors who like me were saying, yeah, this guy was trying to complain about you the whole time. He's like trying to get this momentum built up around you. And so from that point on, I was like, okay, I never want anything to do with this guy. So because they're your neighbors, you have to be a little delicate with this. I don't know that you have to go and organize everybody, but you're right. Like, he just decided to mess up whiskey night, boys night, because he wants the movie deal out in the courtyard. And he's either really nasty about it or he's completely oblivious. And I don't know the answer. And you probably got to give him a pass on the first one and hope you get an answer if he ever does it again. Because if he does it again, then you're going to have your answer. Okay, so we got Mike Vick this week, and could have somebody else. I may just put them on the same one. I'm not sure. I may move it back out. But that's what we're doing. So enjoy the playoffs, and we'll talk to you on Thursday. Please subscribe to the Ryen Russillo podcast, the Ryen Podcast Network, and talk to you in a couple days.